There we go. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I really appreciate it.
Of course, it's a pleasure to be here.
I am very, very excited about this movie. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. If you can't tell from the background.
I mean, no, there's just no evidence here at all of that you'd be into this sort of thing.
TARDIS over here, by the way.
Oh, you're a Doctor Who fan as well.
I am a Whovian. Yes, and I know you were in the show, and I love it.
Many moons ago, yeah.
I was like, oh my God, that was him. When I realized that. So I have a lot of questions to pick your brain over. I know I don't have you for very long, but I have so many questions. I'm going to try and not get you in trouble with spoilers, because I know that's a thing. So my first question is, Johannes has said that this film goes back to the basics of the game, and what I'm curious about, because the original film or original game was so dark and was basically, really survival driven. What can we expect from that, and what did that entail for you in preparing for it?
Yeah, I mean, one of the first things that Johannes said to me actually was when I first took on the gig, he was like, okay, first thing I want you to do is I want you to play the game a lot, the original games. And I was like, okay, great. That's easy research for me. And I think what he means is he really wanted to go back to feeling like we were in an immersive horror movie, and I think that's what's so great about the original games is it was one of the first games to really feel like you were kind of playing out a horror movie, and particularly the new games as well, and you are part of it. And I think certainly in my preparation, I got a sense of what he was going for. And then when I arrived on set and saw the sets and saw the way, just the visuals of it, it felt very much like a grounded, humanistic take of the games. We haven't stuck to the characters exactly in terms of the way they are in the game. There's certain elements of Wesker that I wanted to, with Johannes, I was like, I really love certain the idea of what Wesker is about, but I want to humanize him, and I want to make him someone that's almost relatable, and the decisions he makes it's based off someone who we could relate to in reality in a rundown town, and really bring back the human side of him, because he can be a little bit in the games. I found him to be quite, Mr. Smith from the Matrix, and it's all everything is, and I was like, I feel like that's kind of a dated villain. I want to make him more real, but still keeping a lot of those elements of him from the game.
I just had a vision of you saying, Miss Valentine.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So you brought up that you're playing Albert Wesker, and he's one of the classic characters of the game, like from the beginning. And one of the most popular villains as well. What was it like for you stepping into this villainous role? And because I know you from all of the, you're one of those guys that shows up in like literally everything I watch, and I love it. I'm like, yeah, it's Tom. So my curiosity is, as an actor, and especially for this role, how is it different going into it knowing, okay, I'm going to be the bad guy, but I know you said you brought humanity to the character. How do you go about it when you know you're going to be the heroic character, like, in Umbrella Academy, for example? What's your mindset, and how does that work for you as an actor?
Well, I think the key is to never really think of it as good guy, bad guy, right? I always think the key is to play the character traits and play their motives. And ultimately, any good villain, in my opinion, doesn't think they're the villain. They're doing something maybe for a selfish reason, or they're doing something because in their morals and the way they see the situation, they're doing the right thing. I think there's a very easy thing to do, which is to just go play the generic villain. And Johannes had it in his head as well, that with Wesker in this, that it's his motives and his actions that make him the villain of the story. And when I'm playing a hero, it's the same thing. But, like even then, even as when you're playing the hero, and especially something like Umbrella Academy, there are actions that are questionable. There's a lot of people that thought that Luther in season 1 was seen as a bit of a villain because he puts Vanya in the lockup and things like that. So, but ultimately he's trying to do good. Wesker, I think, is more of a selfish character in terms of he's looked out for himself. But then the reason why he's doing a lot of these things is maybe because of he's fed up with the world that he is in and he wants out. And it's very, I think it's more rewarding to play a villain that is seen as a villain based off their actions as opposed to being an out and out bad person. Because I think generally most people in the world, unless they've got psychological issues, aren't out and out bad people. They're just people who make bad decisions.
Sense. Well, and one thing I was thinking about, and this is a little bit different take on it. I kept thinking about the fact that with Umbrella Academy, it's just going to throw me because you've got Umbrella Corporation, you've got Umbrella
I know,
Academy,
right?
and
yeah.
I'm like,
I've really thrown everyone in a little bit of confusion bomb there.
No, that's not the one. You're saying Umbrella Corporation. Okay. It's a pharmaceutical company in a way, betraying a small town and leaving the people to rot, literally. And it threw me a little bit as I was thinking about this, about how the connotations to, like, weirdly, the opioid crisis in America right now. Did any of that kind of figure into sort of the metaphor of this story? I know this has kind of happened more recently in years, but you know, it just hit me that this kind of can be a metaphor for that. And just leaving
100%. I mean, I question the pharmaceutical companies of the world anyway. As a person, you know, I'm someone who thinks that, you know, it seems odd that you know, the amount of people that are becoming sick, increasingly sick in America, and particularly in the Western world, and then you know, we have like the food industry, which seem to be making people sicker. And then the pharmaceutical companies seem to be making a ton of money off the people who are incredibly sick. And it seems to be this one big spiral. And there's this element of, you know, the conspiracy theorists, you know, the real tin foil hat people would say, you know, that it's the governments and the people, the pharmaceutical companies, you know, working against the people. And they don't have our best interests there. And I think there is a lot of, like, there's a synergy there with Resident Evil. I think that there's an assumption that the people in government, or, you know, in places of authority or whatever, have our best interests at heart, you know, and ultimately that's questionable. And I think that's what Resident Evil plays very well with, and also shows the extremes of that if it was to go wrong, you know. Yeah. And so I think it's quite interesting to watch as a story, to kind of play that out. And, you know, it's happened lots, hasn't it, in other movies? You know, we've seen these kind of extreme experiments, or, you know, pharmaceutical drugs gone wrong, and then it causes a worldwide issue. And also, you know, we don't know how COVID came about, but, you know, we just experienced the pandemic, and we're in the middle of it and on trying to get out of it. And there's a lot of questions about that. And I just think that Resident Evil coming out in this year now, in terms of the way we're doing it, it's interesting timing. Yeah, I'll say that.
Well, and kind of going back to the game aspect of this, and you coming into this film, were you aware of how massive this video game is in the history of games and just entertainment in general when you took the role? Like, just for an example, locally here where I live in Oregon, I came up on a car that literally was an Umbrella Corporation vehicle. They had decked out, brand new car.
Oh, wow.
They had decked it out. Like, they had like license plate, they had everything. It looked like a Jeep for them. And I ran up by the people and I'm just like, yeah. And they were like, yeah,
great job.
Good job. And so it's kind of hilarious to me, and amazing how just big a deal Resident Evil is in terms of just entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, anytime that I do something or join something that's an existing franchise, an existing brand, has an existing fan base, I always have this kind of deep fear of how much responsibility that holds, you know. And I try and shut it away and just play the truth of the roles, and just like try and see what it is about the characters, the essence of the characters and their motives and morals and stuff that is driving them. But ultimately there is a responsibility, because you are responsible for telling the story of you know, either, you know, the brand of Resident Evil, or the story of a character that a lot of people hold dear and have high expectations of. And Resident Evil is one that's, you know, I think that with the previous movies, to a certain degree, but they were so far away from the game in lots of ways. Whereas this, I really feel is more of a nostalgic homage to the game, and I think there's a bigger weight on this one now. So I'm personally really excited to see what people think, because I think that Resident Evil fans will, hopefully, as I've said to a few people, I think you'll lose your shit over it.
Yes. Well, and one thing that Johannes has brought to it too is he's got a history of a love of horror and
Yes.
bringing that to it. And that's one thing that I really, as great as the franchise was prior, it just didn't feel down and dirty horror to me. As it felt really slick, and the images I've seen of this, it looks like it's down and dirty horror again. Like it's dark.
Yeah, it's gritty. It's beat and it's earthy. You know, it has, you know, the newest games, the newest Resident Evil games, like they have more of a feel of that. You know, like it's very much a darker, edgier version of this story, and I think brings in a lot of influence from the original games and the new ones, actually.
Nice. I'm really stoked. So one thing I wanted to ask you before I lose you here is that this cast is made up of a lot of people who I've mentioned. You show up in everything I love. You show up in everything I watch, and it's always a joy to see you there. You always bring such a great presence, like with Doctor Who, with Merlin, just everything you've done. And I just was curious, as an actor, you've been, you've had quite the career so far, and it seems like more and more genre is being accepted and being shown the importance of what it is within storytelling and within film and television. I'm just curious for you, as part of that, how has that affected you as an actor, and how has it allowed you to really expand your craft being in these kind of films and shows?
Yeah, great question. I mean, we're in a golden age of TV and movies, I think, at the moment, particularly television. The opportunities and the kind of genres that we're able to do because of the advancements in technology and CGI and things like that. You know, we're able to really take those kind of genres further and to the limits of what audiences are expecting. But what's even better is that scripts are getting better. You know, they're becoming the opportunities we have as actors to play out in these genres, but also tell very intriguing and honest human stories within them. That's what I love about it, you know. And I've had, like you say, you know, I've been very fortunate to play in some amazing genres so far and play out some childhood dreams, really, you know, because riding around in a castle on a horse dressed as a knight would definitely tick that box. Jumping around as a pirate on a pirate ship, shooting a zombie in the face, which I've done recently for this. You know,
basically
things like that.
Every boyhood dream.
I know, and I really genuinely do like pinch myself in these moments, and I always remember, because you know, as an actor growing up and when I was very young, you know, before I started to get work, you know, I was working in some very rough bars in London and breaking up fights and stuff, you know. So for me, I always remember that when I'm doing these amazing jobs, and just I'm so thankful to have had the opportunity to do it and to keep doing it. You know, every time I get a job, I'm just as happy as the first job.
Fantastic. Well, I know I'm about to lose you. I had one favor to ask. I wasn't going to bring up any Umbrella Academy stuff, but I have to do this because I have a niece who absolutely, her name's Malaya. Malaya is a massive Umbrella Academy fan. And yeah, she crushes on Klaus, but she loves you.
They all crush on Klaus.
I know, but you're one of the heart and soul of the show. And I just wondered if you could just give her a little shout out, because it will make her, she actually cried the last time I bought her Umbrella Academy gifts. So if you could do that, it would make her life.
Malaya, hi, big Luther Hargreaves here, sending all my love. Season 3 is nearly complete, so you can enjoy it very soon. Lots of love.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir. You are always a joy, and I cannot wait to see this. I can't wait to see you be a bad guy again. And I keep living the dream. It's so fantastic to see the joy that you bring to it and everything.
Oh, bless you. Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Danielle. I see you there. Thank you so much. You have a good day, sir. Stay safe and
And you.
keep
Thank you for your
doing
time.
it. Bye-bye.
Will do. And you. Thanks, Jessica. Take care.